What up, people, and welcome back to the book club with one mother, three sisters, and a whole lot of hot takes. This is the family plot. I'm Angel, the host and heart of the crew, joined by my baby sister Cam. Say hey, Cam.
Hey.
Our resident conspiracy theorist, and our mama Lisa, the matriarch and occasional voice of reason. Say hey, mom.
Hi.
We are joined by Glenna, my sister-in-law, with the insightful takes. Say hey, girl.
Hello.
All right, so here's how we get down. Each month, we discuss a book of our choosing, and every week, I'll share a brief summary of the chapters we've read, and then we each pick two discussion questions to answer. We'll also share our first impressions, predictions, and whatever else comes up along the way. So if any of that interests you, pull up a chair, pour some tea, and get cozy as we get right back into this month's book right here on the Family Plot, where every chapter digs deep. All right, ladies, we back for week 2. I don't know about y'all, but I really enjoyed this little section of week 2 of Blood at the Roots by Ladarrion Williams. So that said, I'm going to pull up our slides and get into our summary. Give me just a second. And let me know when you guys can see the screen. Perfect. Thank you for that confirmation. Okay, week 2, covering chapters 11 through 21. Malik continues his magical education at Cayman University, learning about ancestral versus Bane magic and the ethical dilemmas surrounding both. He struggles with control of his own magic, but he receives encouragement and mentorship from Dr. Akila Green and Professor Kumale. Malik begins uncovering his mother's past, her connection to the divine Elam, a secret society tasked with protecting powerful ancestral magic, and the dangerous forbidden spells tied to the scroll of Edan. As Malik grows, his relationships complicate. He reconnects with Alexis, but their bond is strained by disagreements over justice, morality, and her use of Bane magic to avenge Katia Washington's death. Meanwhile, Malik faces visions of his mother that hint that she may still be alive and tied to the forbidden magic he's learning about. On campus, Malik's rivalry with Danye boils over during dorm wars, ending in a dangerous magical clash. The faculty and leadership remain divided on whether the Bokors, an old enemy faction, are truly back as more students go missing. The Deacons of the Crescent push for stronger defenses, but Chancellor Taryn resists acknowledging the threat. After being reprimanded for the dorm war spite, Malik receives a sudden urgent message from Tay, pulling him back into the danger outside of the safety of campus. Child, first impressions. Mother, why don't you go first today? Unmute yourself, Mom. There you go.
I had some challenges in my mind. I had something on my mind. Okay, so basically what I was concerned with was as I was reading, I started highlighting things. I almost started taking notes inside the book. Well, I did take some notes inside my book because I had my pad with me at the time. But I was a little concerned because in 11, when he starts off and he goes and he finds this information about his mama, he gets this thing where he's got the words that she was chanting and all of that, and he started chanting. When he listened, he said somebody else was chanting with him. Who them people? Who them people? That's first thing. But then, and I was a little concerned about his relationship with Alexis because as much as I like her, she transitions. I'm feeling some things different about her because she transitioned in her. I'm not gonna say her ideals, but her purpose looks a little bit more different to me now after reading this section than what it did before. Because before it was like she was an advocate. She was out for the people. She wanted to help folk. Now it looks like she's dipping off into some of that same stuff his mama was dipping off into. And that makes me a little bit concerned. But I think as we got to read a little deeper, when I got over in 16 and he had met that librarian, she was talking about the people who were in, what's it called?
The Divine Elam.
The Divine Elam. Why the Divine Elam? So she made me have questions because she said they also had a seer. So, okay, they talked about Madam Moses, which was Harriet Tubman, being the last seer she knew about. But considering that time frame, who's the new seer? Or who was the seer back? Because she did give up some names of some information on some people, but who was the new seer? So my thought was, is she the seer? The librarian, because she was able to cap off names like this. She was able to rattle off names of the people that was in the Divine Elam from her generation. I said, oh, okay. And the reason is, and my other concern was, is the reason the children are disappearing because the Bokors need their magic and are killing them just as they did when they sacrificed that boy back to win the revolution. I was like, oh, all these questions keep popping up because if these kids are missing, then they're found dead, and we know the Bokors need magic to get stronger. Who left the gate open? That's what I'm gonna say about that. Who in the heck left the gate open? Because somebody had to either leave it open or they opened it on purpose. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Who let the book horse out? Ooh, 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 ooh. Who let the book horse out?
Who? Okay.
Are we yielding the floor, Mother? Okay.
I'm a yield.
Okay, thank you for that. Cam, first impressions, please, ma'am.
Always catch me right when I'm chewing on something.
If you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready.
I gotta eat. So anyway, I had a lot of funny moments in this section where I just was literally laughing out loud. I was very surprised at Alexis. Cause ma'am, what you doing that for? We not playing the good Lord out here. I'm not with it. I don't like that you doing dangerous things, but I feel like she's doing the dangerous things. I got a whole theory about that. I feel like it's related to her peoples. Maybe possibly. But that aside, I officially hate somebody. At least we made it to week 2 before I started fully hating somebody.
You know what? Bless the Lord. Bless the Lord. We made it a week.
Can't stand down yet. He can burn in the deepest depths of hell because I'm not with it. I don't like nothing about him. I don't like his toxic energy, his toxic nature. And why we gotta be like that? Like, you jealous, but you ain't with her. But then what's your problem with me? Like, because I'm not with her either. Like, what's the issues here? He just rubs me all the wrong way. I still think he got some ties to the Bokors. Or if he not one of them, he want to be one of them. Or maybe it got something to do with Alexis, because she did at one point say that he was the only other person who could ground her like Malik did, which, ew, find somebody else. You got other friends. Dorm Wars I thought was really funny. But the funniest part, there was 2 really funny parts. Part number 1, D-Lo. That was hilarious. Part number 2, the watermelon. That was also hilarious. Those are the 2.
Wait, Cam, slow down. D-Lo. What about meeting D-Lo as a character was hilarious?
Okay, it was the way he walks in and then they having this conversation and he like, yo, you got to get stepping. And out comes this man that D-Lo done had these relations with. And Malik is just like, yo, whoa, what's going on here? And Malik, he just looking, but D-Lo like, hey, I like what I like. Is that gonna be a problem? Like, well, no. I mean, at least we upfront and honest about it.
And then he proceeds to eat a bowl of cereal like
Nothing just happened. Like I didn't just watch a half-dressed man walk out your bedroom. But you know what? Go off, bruh. Cool. That whole little interaction was funny, but what I love about it is that in the short time that Malik has been there, like through the rest of these chapters, you can see that they're actually forming a friendship and not just being roommates. So I really enjoyed that. But the watermelon, when he was depleted of all energy, and they was like, you know what? Let me give you a history lesson. And then laid out the lesson, and he took one bite of the watermelon and said, well, god damn. He said, my energy's restored already. I was like, okay, well, now I want to go home and eat some. But that's really funny. I was sitting at the desk when that part came on, and I started cracking up. Those were probably the two most funny moments so far in the whole book, outside of chapter 9, when he said it's a whole lot of wizardry and niggatry in this bitch. Those are like my top 3 moments right now. As far as Tay, I honestly, my heart dropped a little bit when Malik got those text messages from Tay. But then when we got there and it wasn't nothing, I was like, okay, I see why you felt that way. But everybody calm down. That's what I was thinking. I was like, all right, everybody relax. Chill out. And then it ended. And I was like, oh, okay. Gotta wait for next week. But it was really good. It was really good. And with that, I yield.
yes, Tam, love it, and wholeheartedly agree with many of those points. It looks like Glenna is indisposed at the moment, so I will get into some of my first impressions. Much like y'all, I was also very disturbed by Alexis choosing to enlist the help of Samity to take her to the crossroads to avenge Katya Washington's death by torturing the souls of the 2 men who killed her. Wasn't expecting that at all. And it did make me question, because we have been introduced to Alexis as an activist-esque character, and for good reason, because her adopted parents were also activists. But it does make one question, to what degree are you trying to seek this justice? And are you seeking it for your people or for yourself? Again, very disturbing scene in the graveyard with Alexis and those 2 unfortunate souls. Not gonna lie, Samity was giving Dr. Facilier from Princess Tiana and the Frog just the description of him being with flesh outside of the moonlight and then without flesh and complete bone in the moonlight. It was definitely giving dual spiritual energy. I could picture it. If this was a movie, I could so picture that for that character. Which reminds me, at some point, Tay mentioned that both Mama Aya and Samity and Bridget even are just ancient. So I would venture to say these ain't no regular humans. There's something else going on here. It's a reason why y'all old, like over 100 years old on this here plane. What else? The divine Elam structure, Mom, I also was struggling trying to understand that. My understanding at this point is that there are either three or four of them in total, one of which is a seer, like you said. And as you mentioned before, the only known seer that the librarian was aware of was Harriet Tubman because she regularly had visions. It's important to note, though, too, the seer, as described here, is not someone who is actually one having magical ability, but is in proximity to those who do. It definitely gave me Harry Potter squib vibes. Like, them people ain't witches or wizards, but they just be around and they have an understanding of what's going on. And I think it's interesting that every magical community or structure has those people in their hierarchy, because everybody has something to contribute, no matter what abilities you have. And it's a really good theory that the Bakors need the magic, and that's why they kidnapping the kids. I don't know how true that is, but I could see it happening. Yeah, D-Lo clapping cheeks upon his first meeting of Malik. Totally did not expect that, but I was cracking up as well. Dorm Wars. Really enjoyed the setup and play out of Dorm Wars. It's specifically, one thing I really love about how this author is writing this book is he tells you exactly what song is playing at what moment. And for Dorm Wars, Nuck If You Buck was not a more appropriate song on this green earth that could have been playing for Dorm Wars. I felt like I was in the auditorium myself. Auditorium, gymnasium, wherever they was at, I was there. And then, what else? The clash between Dr. Akeem, who is one of the deacons of the Crescent, and Chancellor Tarrant on whether or not the Bakors are back and what to do about that. I feel like they both do want to protect the students. They're just at an impasse about how to do it. And it really, really mirrors the whole the denial that Cornelius Fudge had at the Ministry of Magic and Harry Potter. He's like, nah, Voldemort ain't back. And Taryn is doing the same thing. Nah, the Bakors ain't back. But dog, do we really want to wager that though with these kids coming up dead? I don't think so. I don't think so. And it's infuriating because in many situations, leadership denies the inevitable. And unfortunately, there are people who pay the price for that. There are people who face negative consequences for their refusal to address those things head on. What else that I have on here? I also enjoy that D-Lo and Malik's friendship is evolving in the way that it is. It seems very organic. So much so that I feel like after Dorm Wars, it wasn't nobody playing about Malik the way D-Lo wasn't playing about Malik. He like, hey, you good? He ready. He's staying ready because he ain't got to get ready. Yeah, I think that's all I had as far as reactions go. Okay. I planned on eating some watermelon tonight just in honor of the chapters we've read. It just didn't happen that way. But my girl, right there on the other side of the screen, tell the people what you eating, girl.
Watermelon and fried chicken. It's a very Black evening. Very Black evening.
She is eating watermelon. Glenna, are you able to share your first impressions?
I actually don't really have anything to add because you guys all covered almost everything that I had thought of. So I don't really think I can add anything else other than there are several moments that I laughed my head off. I'm not too thrilled with Alexis at the moment. But other than that, I mean, not that he handled it great either, but they're still teenagers. But yeah, I don't like her for him. I think he needs to get over that. And with that, I yield.
I think we are all in the same that boat. Yes, ma'am. Cam, I see you have a hand raised.
Yeah. So a couple things that you said in your first impressions when you mentioned Dr. Facilier, I got a completely different visualization of Samity in that moment. And it was because he used the verbiage of they met up at the crossroads. What it reminded me of was, and we talked about it yesterday, was the blues player who was rumored to have met the devil at the crossroads in order to exchange his soul for his musical abilities.
Okay, now, audience, if you have no idea what she's talking about, please do not feel in the dark because the only crossroads I knew about was Bone Thugs and Harmony. Now, Cam had to explain it. I'm going to have her explain it to y'all. Proceed.
Okay. There was a blues player in, I believe, the 40s.
Man, Phil, step over to the other register. I'll be right there.
Oh, hang on, Glenna. You are not on mute, but I will mute you. There you go. Okay, Cam.
There was a blues player in the 50s. I'm trying to remember his name. But he was rumored to, his name was Robert Johnson. He was rumored to have been a very terrible musician at the start of his life. And at one night, he went to the crossroads in his hometown, which I believe is somewhere in Mississippi, and he met up with the devil. He had a conversation with the devil, and the devil said that he would give him, you know, musical ability and have him be famous in exchange for his soul. And because he had this meteoric rise to fame in his time period, and he learned so quickly after not having any ability at all, people believe this rumor to be true. Now, this is not the actual truth. Let me put that out there. This is not how it actually happened, but this was the rumor of the day that it did happen this way. So when we were at this moment with Uncle Samity and Alexis and Malik, and they were talking about meeting up at the crossroads, I envision Uncle Samity being that creature at the crossroads with Robert Johnson, exchanging his soul. And to me, that exchange worked because the same way the devil took Robert Johnson's soul, Uncle Samity took these kids and entered another dimension, and he got his cigars out of it while Alexis enacted whatever justice she wanted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why that visualization worked for me. And then there was another thing that you were talking about, how Tay was talking about, and Bridget and Mama Aya and Uncle Samity being these ancient creatures. And Malik was in class with Dr. Akila and Professor Kumale and was going head to head in class and almost blew the school up. And they were like, what's the problem? He's just a regular whatever, like everybody else. And what's his name? Chancellor Tarn, he came in and was like, no, he's not. And you know it. He wasn't ready for this. And I was like, well, what do you mean by that? Because if everybody else is ancient, what are you not telling us about him? You clearly know some things.
Hello?
That us readers would like to know. So what is it about him that's not regular? Does it have to do with his mom or his grandma? Questions that need answers.
All valid points. All valid points. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Mom, I see you have a hand raised. Go ahead.
Initially, I wondered where, because he found that paper with them baby names on there. I wanted to know who the heck Ephraim was, because I was trying to think maybe Ephraim is his daddy, because she said Ephraim 2 on the paper. And I'm like, huh? Ephraim 2? Who is Ephraim?
You know what, Mom? I'm glad you mentioned that because I wonder who that other member of the Divine Elam was. We know Chancellor Taryn was one. We know his mother was one. We know there was a seer, and I don't know if that seer was that the other person, or if there was also one other person making four.
But on top of that, I see your hand, Cam. Hold on. On top of that, so with all of the rantings of Chancellor Taryn, because she scratched out the Ephraim too, so it had to be somebody significant for her to consider that name, and and make him a second. So I'm thinking, is that the baby daddy? But after learning what I learned about Chancellor, I feel like Chancellor is the boy's daddy.
I don't know. Isn't it possible?
And that's where I'm perplexed, because I feel like because he and the boy's mama was really close, and it's kind of like that. The warrior queen or the queen king, whatever, the movie with Viola Davis,
the woman king,
the woman king, yeah. It was giving me those vibes where me, but you're not telling. And she didn't really know. And then once she figured it out, it was like, oh crap, this has been my child the whole time. And it's like, I felt like he knows, if he ain't the baby's daddy, he knows who it is.
Which is why I wonder if Sir Ephraim, whoever he is,
yeah, because
also in the Elam.
Because if you think about it, and you do the timeline, even a rough timeline of when she had that baby, and she and because she was pretty young, but she had that baby, and we know based on the stuff he's found, she had done some she was dealing off into some bad magic. But that was also the thing that whoever was writing her this note said, hey, you can get in trouble, you can get expelled for that. So it's somewhere around there was when she had that baby. And in my mind, somebody on that campus had to father that boy. And that may be, and if that is the case, that means not only does he have his mama's lineage of ancient magic, he got whoever that daddy is in him as well, which would be why he's so powerful, which may explain why the chancellor is going, hey, he ain't ready, because he may know the level of power that boy got in him other than his mother's ability. You know what I'm saying? That's why I went with that.
Yeah. Cam, I see you've got 2 hands raised. Please let the people know what's on your mind.
Okay, the librarian, she said a third name that was in that little grouping.
I know, but she didn't say whether he was a seer or not.
No, she didn't say whether he was the seer, but she did say that they were all in the Divine Elam together.
Right.
She said it was his mama, Professor Taryn, and this other person. And I want to make sure that I'm saying the right person, because the other person whose name I'm thinking it is in chapter 22, and I don't want to skip ahead.
Right.
Do we remember which chapter?
I'm trying to find it now. What chapter was he talking to the librarian in?
That's the one that I'm talking about. That's what I'm looking for.
That's in 16.
Okay. Okay. Miss Faye in the library. Sense for you. Hey, Chancellor Montclair was in it too. She nods. I knew he was hiding some shit. All right, bet. Partners of the library. Antoine Bivens.
Okay, yeah. That
Page
is
208.
208. Yeah, that's the guy's name. And so, God, this is why I don't like reading ahead, because then I know things that I can't find.
Right.
He becomes important. Well, it's not that he becomes important. We just learn a very important piece of information. But this is why I very strongly agree with Mom's claim that either Chancellor Bonclair is Malik's dad, or he knows who he is. Because I feel like the notes that his mom was writing that he found, she wouldn't have written them to people who she didn't trust. And she has no reason not to trust the other two people in the Divine Elam.
Very good point. Very good point. Um, you also mentioned you had a theory about what's motivating Alexis. Care to share, or is it gonna be?
Share. I'm thinking, I really wish we got a clear understanding on why Malik's mom turned to Bane magic, but I think as far as Alexis is concerned, she is pushing really hard to bring justice to these little girls or these kids, these little black kids and everything. I feel like maybe she is hoping to find what took out her parents and is using this extreme form of magic as either a boost in the right direction to that, or is using it to her own whim because she's angry that she couldn't save her parents.
Okay, come on, theory.
Because those are the people who rescued her and gave her such a good life, and they taught her how to use her magic, and they paved the way, and now she's at this school. And in their childhood, Alexis and Malik were very alike. They wanted some of the same things. Only difference is she wasn't afraid to use her magic and he was. So there's nothing that says that in their teenage years or like young adulthood that they aren't at that school for the same reason, because she is already on thin ice just like he is, and we know what he came for. So she could be really passionate about saving these kids, but what if it's just a cover so that she can find out what really happened to her parents?
I like that theory a lot. It makes so much sense, especially because before she started torturing them souls, she stopped to visit her ancestors, her parents, and pay homage to them with some lemon cake. So yeah, it's almost like I'm doing this for y'all. And then she goes and tortures the poor unfortunate souls. Yeah, I really like that theory, Cam. Thank you for that.
No problem.
All right, ladies, are we ready to get into these discussion questions? All right, let's hit it then. Again, I don't have no catchy titles for this book. It's just a lot of this and that, this and that. So we have magic and morality, mentorship and belonging, ancestry and responsibility, vengeance versus justice, secrets and truth, friendship and conflict, systems of power, and foreshadowing and mystery. Who want to go first? Cam, go ahead.
Friendship and conflict.
Friends. How many of
How
us?
many of us have them? Friends.
Yes. All right. Malik and Danye nearly destroy dorm wars with their magical rivalry. What does this conflict reveal about ego, insecurity, and the challenges of young people handling immense power?
Danye's ego is as big as Jupiter. Period. ellipses. It's not too much more to say. Like, he's awful. He's a horrible human. Well, he ain't even a human, but still, he's bad. I don't like it. And he knows to some degree that Malik has insecurities, partly being because his mom is gone, because he doesn't know how to use his power, because he's Mama Aya's grandson, and that's all everybody want to talk about. And so what did he do? He got the man mad. That's what people do. They feed on insecurities to get a rise out of people, and that's just what he did. Now, the challenges of young people handling immense power, they can't handle it. If they could handle it, they wouldn't have to go to school to learn how to use it. And a lot of these kids, as we learned, have been in these schools since they were young. So clearly, it takes a long time to learn how to manifest and use these powers correctly. So if they were able to handle it, they wouldn't be at school to begin with and getting grades on how well they can use it. But I still don't like Danye and his Jupiter-sized ego. Yes, Mom.
I totally am in agreement with the fact that Danye has a Jupiter-sized ego, as we gonna call it. However, I have found when you have children, even young adults, who are immediately angry at someone they don't already have a history with, there's something else going on. Because he came out the gate not liking him without knowing him. And so that speaks to another level of what the heck is it? Because, you know, it's not like Ace in the last book we read where I feel like I got to show the new kid up, or I got to be the one that I got to show our power. He wasn't even about him identifying himself as the wizard or the magical one to beat. It was just you know, so it's like he's already angry with him for something that Malik don't even know about. And Malik's belief is because he thinks he wants to be with Alexis. And Alexis is like, I ain't with nobody. So that ain't it. I mean, we were friends, but I think it's something a little deeper.
I think the author has made it very clear in our introduction to Danya as a character that Danya was panini pressed when Malik made his way into the friend group. And it's like that in real life too. Like, nobody has to outright tell you, I don't like you, I ain't feeling you, blah, 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 blah. That energy that Danya gave was all we needed to read. We know what it is.
Exactly. Yeah, but that right there though is why that exact situation, the being angry and panini pressed right out the gate, just pressed as a grilled cheese at this point, because it really was from nothing. But I think that's why I think so strongly that he has something to do with the Bakors, because we don't know what his background is. We don't know who his parents are, who his grandparents are, what his ancestry is. And I'm thinking, you don't have no reason to be upset with this boy unless it's because he's Mama Aya's grandson and Mama Aya defeated the Bakors. You literally have no other reason to be mad.
Right. And that's why that's why I said it has to be there's something deeper than you just Grandma Aya's son. Like you said, it has to be something deeper, whether it's his connection with the Bakors or something else. But yeah, or if he's connected. But yeah, there's definitely something else there. And if it is his connection with the Bakors, yeah, he might be mad because of Mama Aya. But yeah, I agree. It's definitely something deeper.
I have an additional theory, because there was a portion where Chancellor Heron was speaking to Danye And I believe it was Dr. Kumale or D'Lo. One of them was pretty much explaining to Malik that Taryn may be training Danye up to be part of the divine Elam. So if that's the case, that makes me wonder, is Chancellor Taryn and the House of Devereaux, where Danye comes from, are they somehow all connected with the Bacours? And is that furthering why Chancellor Taryn is so vehemently denying their return, like trying to be in stealth mode? You know, like, we back, but I can't tell y'all we back. You know what I mean? Did I clock it?
Clocked all of that.
All right, Mom, you are muted, but go ahead.
Sorry.
There you
I
go.
didn't get that vibe from the chancellor. I got more of the reason he's in denial is because his mama is because Miss Head of the Board. I didn't think it because I really feel like he know they there, but he can't say that. And it's because of that mama. And she, you know, her prestige and her being over the lineage and of line of prestige and all that other stuff. I think more of that has to do with her because I know he knows they're back, but he can't say they're back. But he also has to be held. Oh, that same bull stuff I was dealing with at work. But you got to be held accountable to those in power over you, and you have to listen to what they say, even though you know right. You know what's going on.
It's getting a little personal for you over there, Mom.
You know, personal, girl. But anyway, so he knows. I really feel like he knows that they are back. And because he has to play the role he's playing because of those in authority over him, it's putting him in that position. Now, whether or not he's training, oh boy, that may be something. But he gonna learn that ain't the one to train. And I think the dorm wars told it all because you know he was quick to call out Malik, and when they did the playback, oh no, brother man struck first. I had nothing to do with that. I was just defending myself. And in this particular case, he was like, oh snap, it was him. So that may have given him a little pushback, even if he was thinking about Danye in that light, because clearly he can't hold his temper, and you can't be in the divine Elam and be like that. So with that, I'm gonna yield so we can move on.
I was thinking that though. I was thinking that, but Angel, you make a very good point. Now, what if he's just upset because when it comes to the divine Elam, Malik would be a legacy, so he could drop Danye and start training Malik to take his mom's place.
On a separate and slightly related note, I really hope we find out in this next week what exactly is the relationship between Alexis and Danye. Because why you ain't said
getting on my nerves.
No, for real. Like, why you ain't say nothing when y'all went over there to check on Malik after your boy tried to take him out?
Mm-hmm.
And you instead defended Danye?
You can't be fighting like that. He just tried to kill me, and you said I'm not supposed to be fighting like that. You didn't want me to defend myself?
Yes, and furthermore, you talking about how he's been there for you in ways that no one else has. I get that. We all make our bonds with people, but Malik made a really great point. Well, why you ain't bring him to the cemetery?
If he grounds you,
help
what
me
you
understand. And I doubt that it is a romantic relationship, but I really am curious to know what exactly is their bond. Is it magical? Is it purely what she said as far as like him being there for her in some way? Or are they more closely aligned in their value system? Like, what is it? Because you're doing a little too much.
They in cahoots, and I promise you, that boy done delved into some of that Bane magic just like her. He just ain't let nobody know it yet. How much you want to bet? Hello.
We gonna see, but I don't like it. Cam, did you have anything else to add, or are you yielding?
I did. I'm gonna yield.
Okay, thank you for that. Love that. Glenna, are you able to take a question or? Okay, just a second. All right. That said, yeah, I don't really like I'm not a fan of Alexis. I just don't like how she's moving when it comes to Danye because you've known Malik for way longer than you've known this man. What really have y'all been through that would warrant you not speaking up for your childhood friend?
Not Nathan.
Like,
Is he the
Nathan.
baby daddy? I'm
you've
just
been
saying.
in this cushy magical life in this magical world at this magical school with your magical, good parents, two-parent household. What you been through that requires such grounding in the first place, ma'am? Help me. You get to be an activist for fun.
Well,
But
she
is it
came
really
in saying
activism?
she lost both her parents. So that may be something that they have in common.
You're right.
We know she was an orphan, but we don't know, like you said before, we don't know Danye's history. He may have been an orphan too, or he may have had parents that he lost. Nobody knows. So, and because Malik wasn't there, whatever they bonded over had to be some form of similarity between their past, which
You're
made him
absolutely
be able
right.
to console her.
I did not consider that, and you're absolutely right. They probably share grief over something. I'm not sure if it's his parents, but grief is a really good way to trauma bond with somebody and forsake all others. So I really hope we get into what that is in this week.
Yeah, because the trauma bond is quick to truly connect with somebody when you're connecting through a trauma bond. And like we said, we know her trauma, we just don't know his.
All right.
At this point, I don't know if I care though.
You never care. You never like it.
What has been done already?
Only friendship and conflict have been chosen thus far. So you got the run of the gamut here.
I'll take magic and morality.
Magic and morality. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Dr. Green raises the question, is magic inherently ethical or unethical? And how does Malik's journey illustrate the tension between power and morality?
I think with any tool and potential weapon, how it's used and its intent has a lot to do with whether it's moral or not. I don't think there is an inherent ethical or unethicalness to just existing as magical being, because that's just the way they are born. What they choose to do with it, on the other hand, definitely toes that line of whether it's moral or not. I think we have a couple of different examples of, it being used appropriately, the teachers stepping in the middle of duels and using magic to stop people from getting hurt. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have what Alexis did in the cemetery, which I think, while it does seek justice, is entirely unethical. And there's a fine line between justice and vengeance. And I'm actually not entirely sure what side of that line she's currently on. Because you can justify some of it, but you can't justify all of it. But is it enough of the things you can't justify to warrant it being leaning towards evil?
Sorry, we're over here silently applauding. Yes.
And with that, I yield.
You clocked her tea, Glenna.
Glenna's always clocking someone's tea, truth be told. I agree. And it reminds me of biblical extremists that we have come across in our lifetime who say that, music that is not gospel music specifically or Christian music specifically is in and of itself of the devil. Which is interesting because, let the Bible tell it, all music came from one source. And it really is dependent upon how you use those influences, how you remix it, how you master it, and whatever you do. And I think the way that this story is written mirrors that in its use of magic being inherently ethical or unethical. You really cannot say it's inherent. It's how is the practitioner utilizing it? Is it to save lives? Is it to I think they even mentioned an example of a dog that is dying to show mercy and make it quick rather than let them suffer. You can use magic in that way. Yeah, good stuff, Glenna. Good stuff. Mother, what will your first question of the evening be? Come on off mute. There you go.
There we go. Since we just kind of all over the board today, let's go with and ooh, I don't know if I want mentorship or belonging and ancestry response. Okay, let's do mentorship and belonging.
Mentorship and belonging. Both Akila and Kumale try to guide Malik when he feels out of place. How do mentors shape his growth compared to the secrecy of Mama Aya or the hostility of Chancellor Taryn?
Well, he starts to, I think in any mentorship relationship, you build a comfort level after breaking grounds, because you have to get to the point where you truly trust your mentor to be guiding you in the best light for you. And mentors are generally people who are not connected to you by blood or any other way, that are supposed to be looking out for your best interests. So in their roles as mentors and or professors, they recognize, number one, that he don't know. He just don't know. He come here with little to no base knowledge of his true ancestry, what type of powers he has, all that, which is why he's been brought here in the middle after the semester started. And their goal is to try to get him to harness and catch up, basically. And he sees that, but he still doesn't trust it because he's had a whole lifetime of not being able to trust anything or anyone because he hasn't been heard after his mom passed. And that was evident in how the police was treating him and how he went into the system. So when it comes to Mama Aya and Chancellor Taryn, well, with him not having trust and with him feeling vaguely uncomfortable with what the concept of family, he's already been presented with a negative image of Chancellor Taryn. So he's not feeling like he belongs, even though he's being told he is. He's supposed to be here, but he's not feeling that. He's supposed to understand that family is there for you, but he hasn't ever experienced that. So shaping his growth, it really is a personal journey going on right now. And it's the first one is how to learn how to trust people. And so because he flat out don't trust Chancellor Taryn. He's overheard him talking to Mama Aya. He already is uncomfortable with him. He doesn't even look to try to trust him. He feels uncomfortable with Mama Aya because she knew of him and didn't, in his mind, didn't search for her, didn't search for him. But he doesn't know all of the history behind that. And so right now, the only the smallest frame of trust is in these people who he has no connection with, that are trying to show him the endless possibilities with his powers. So, and he, like I said, he still didn't feel the need to, he didn't feel comfortable trusting anybody based on his history. And being feeling out of place all of his life, but he does initially open up. And with him opening up to Professor Kumale and Akila is when he truly starts to develop as a young man, because he went with the intent of finding out about mom and what happened to her, but in the course of that, he's truly learning about himself. He's learning about his history. He's learning about his powers. He's learning that you don't just come from your mama and grandmama, you come from a long line of great people who are magically infused and have powers, and you too harness that even though you were scared of it. So he's opening up to people. He's opening up with his professors, and that is giving him an opportunity to truly learn about himself, his ability to control what he was scared of at one point. And they are in the position to shape him more than Mama Aya or the chancellor are, only because of his level of trust. As he develops through trusting his professors, and learning his history, that's when he begins to open up, to start to believe in and feel a little more comfortable about his grandmother. And it's only through that he's starting to wake up and say, okay. And I think the mature level hits him. He realizes it wasn't her or his family intentionally staying away. It was his mama's doing, and her keeping his life shielded from him and sheltered. And even in the trenches of knowing that mama was evil, and that's the easiest way to say it. Mama was evil and studying dark magic and was doing things she had no business doing. She kept all that because of her argument with Mama Aya. And that was the reason he knew nothing of himself or his history. And he's realizing now that mama is not, he wants to have faith in his mom, but he's learning that just because they gave birth to you don't mean they the best for you. And that's a reality that some children learn. Just because they carry the name mama don't mean they truly got your back. So yeah, with that I yield.
My God today. It's really close to home there, Mom. Ooh. I will pick, what's my first question gonna be? I'm gonna do systems of power. All right. Faculty members like Taryn, Kamale, and Akeem disagree on whether to address the threat of the Bakors. How does this reflect real-world tensions between authority, denial, and activism when facing community dangers? Ooh. Okay. Couple things here. When communities are under threat, I feel like there are 3 different ways that leaders tend to go about it. I'm gonna call them the 3 A's. So you got the authoritarian denial approach, which Taryn is clearly in. He's downplaying the danger of the Bakors, understandably so, because he's prioritizing appearances and institutional stability over urgent action. And this, to me, mirrors real world leaders who resist acknowledging systemic problems like police brutality or climate change or public health crises, because admitting them would force uncomfortable change. A second approach that we see a lot from people in leadership is the activism or advocacy type, which I feel like Dr. Kumale is on. And I say that because much like you mentioned, he pushes for mentorship and open discussion and empowering his students to be prepared. This reminds me of a lot of grassroots leaders and teachers and organizers who make it their priority to equip communities with knowledge and tools, even if it's challenging the authority. And then you have the third approach that we see from leaders, which is alarm or urgency. And I feel like this is where Dr. Akeem is moving from, because he sees the danger coming. And he said the Deacons of the Crescents are like military style. So he's insisting on stronger defense. And that reminds me of real world activists who warn communities about threats long before the institutions take them seriously. So together, all three of these men, Taryn, Kumale, Akeem, they reflect this tension between protecting the status quo versus protecting people. And I think this book is asking us to think about who gets listened to, who gets silenced, and how denial by those people in power can leave the people in these communities more vulnerable. Me, myself, personally, I feel more in alignment with Akeem, because I don't care if you're comfortable or not. Like, if we got to take action, we need to take action. But I'm not in any leadership position to make that. But yeah, that's where I'm at on that. And with that, I yield. Any questions, feedback, concerns before we move into our next round of questions, ladies?
Nope. That was great.
Great. Okay. Thank you all. I do what I can. Let's see. Cam, since I have you, what will be your second question of the night?
What we got left?
We have ancestry, responsibility, vengeance and justice, secrets and truth, and foreshadowing and mystery.
Ancestry and responsibility.
Ancestry, responsibility. The divine Elam's mission is to guard ancient knowledge for future generations. How does Malik's inheritance of this legacy complicate his search for identity and truth about his mother?
Well, he don't really want to guard nothing. He want everything all out in the open, because when you hold secrets, you don't get answers, and he want his answers. So it's gonna make a very difficult search if the people he's supposed to be working with and potentially searching with ain't supposed to tell him nothing. Because we know who the current, quote unquote, current members of the divine Elam are, because we got the chancellor, the mama that's off in the wind, and this third person who we don't know. Chancellor don't like him for whatever reason. Well, we think we know the reason. Maybe, possibly. But Chancellor don't like him, so he ain't finna help him. We know that. And then we know one of the people potentially being trained to replace a member of the Divine Elam is Danye. Danye can't stand him. So he definitely ain't finna help him. So the only path to truth he's gonna find is to resort into the ways of his youth, which is lying and stealing, dishonesty in all forms, both physical, mental. He gotta deny some things about himself, about his family, who he said ain't his family, but he's slowly starting to look at more as family, like Mama Aya, Samity, Aunt Bridget, and that whole gaggle of people that showed up at her house talking about some little welcome home party that wasn't little at all. I would have walked away personally.
Okay, wait. I gotta say this because
But he did.
Glenna asked me off camera like why they did that, and me personally, I feel like it's very typical of
Black people.
Uses, yes,
Yeah.
because any reason is a good reason to get together and have some food.
Funerals included.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, we got a new family member barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
It did not take me aback in the way that it did Glenna, so I had to break.
Yeah, that was normal for me.
Okay, in my defense, it didn't take me aback. It was just not familiar.
Yes.
Yeah, that he as I was reading it, I was just like, yeah, I would have just walked out because who are you?
Yeah, who is y'all? No, but Glenna, I get it because, like, in a normal, functional family,
There would have been conversations.
there would have been a conversation. It would not have been a party. It would have been, hey,
Y'all killing me over here. Y'all killing me.
I'm saying, am I saying anything wrong? No, it would have been a baby. I'm so glad you back. Let me throw you a little get together so you can meet your people. Not waking up to a party that you knew nothing about. But it's Mama Aya house, and she like, yeah, my baby back. We gonna have us some crawfish and something, put the music on. Like, that's very typical behavior for us.
Black folks. Yeah. So those people and all extensions of those people would be the only way that he would find any truth and identity, because the only thing he's known is foster care system. So he has to relearn from the ground up what it's like to be a member of his own family, which is unfortunate, but it's true. Like, he's not going to learn that from anywhere else. Now, as far as his mama is concerned, I was glad he got the book, but damn, sir, like, you don't have to ruin everything. You could have harnessed some more magic, learn how to use some things instead of just breaking stuff everywhere you go. Everywhere. But I mean, that is one way he was gonna learn about his mom, because every path he turns down, nobody wants to talk about her. And then that begs the question, what did she do here that was so bad that nobody wants to talk about her? But in that same vein, I'm like, the man, the myth, the legend, because he walked into the library and the librarian was like, oh, you the son? Why ain't you say something? Didn't know that was something I needed to say. Like, it's like a taboo topic to talk about her, but at the same time, it's like, everybody's surprised that I'm here. You want me to be here, but when I'm trying to get these answers about this lady who everybody seems to know everything about, why is nobody telling me?
Yeah, that's frustrating, and that's an understatement.
Yeah, so as far as him trying to be in the Divine Elam, I mean, not that he's trying to be in it, but as far as his inheritance of her legacy, not that we necessarily know what that is at this point, it might not necessarily be a good thing. Because if anybody is going to try to train him to be in the Divine Element, all this boy wants is answers. And that's the one thing he's being deprived of. Who's to say he's going to keep those answers from other people who happen to be in his same situation that want answers? he ain't gonna go or nothing because he don't want to. He's expressed that he does not like being treated the way that he currently is by everybody he's around, whether it's a friend or a foe. I highly doubt, especially if it comes to Tay, because low key, I think Tay is a seer. Low key. But
That's an interesting theory.
we'll get there in a second. So I really feel like when it comes to the ancient knowledge, if he was a part of Divine Elam, he would share it. Because he don't like the secrets. Yeah. So we talking about Tay now?
Please share your. I like your theories. I do.
Okay. So once we were described what a seer is and does, my mind instantly was like, oh, so all the stuff Tay do? Tay has 0 magical ability. But Tay has known about Malik's power from jump, from the second they was in the foster home together. It was no surprise to him when he showed up to Mama Aya's house and was looking at all of these magical folk, Uncle Sammy and his creepy behind, Aunt Bridget and her extra old self, and then Mama Aya, and all he said was, oh yeah, they ancient. He
You're
wasn't
right. You sure did.
he wasn't really surprised about it. He never felt uncomfortable with these people. He never felt like there was something wrong and off.
Yo, and he was just about to go on a movie date with a freaking fairy.
Right.
Like she was a fairy.
Yeah, she was a fairy.
It was literally a fairy.
You said something there, boo. You said something. Clock that.
But
T.
has 0 magical ability, quite like Harriet Tubman.
I like this theory.
And if nothing else, for nothing else, he's been around Tay for, he's been around Malik for so long. So long. I wonder if Tay was in the position to also go to Cayman, if he would learn how to use those seer abilities and then be the seer for the Divine Elam. Write that down.
Go ahead, write that down, H. Write that down.
Oh, I'm writing.
And I yield, unless there are questions.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there, girl. I would just like to see, if that is the case, I would like to see some of that manifest over these next few chapters, because it won't make sense in the latter half of the book. So
well, I don't know, and I'm glad that we found out that there is a sequel, because yes, Malik is 18, Tay is only 15, so Tay wouldn't, and because he doesn't have magical abilities, there's not anything for like to awaken in him, but he also wouldn't be allowed to go to Cayman yet because technically he's still in high school.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe, and then, think about it in a different way. While Tay is still in high school, Malik is only a freshman in college, and we do still have another book. And I feel like this book will end with Malik still being a freshman in college.
Okay.
So we still have quite a bit of time to spread across. And I'm wondering, maybe if he is a seer, those abilities won't come forth until he's mature. And he's not in maturity yet. He's only 15.
Girl, yeah, we're gonna have to come back to that. I like that theory a lot. Glenna, are you able to answer a question, or should I circle back? Actually, she's not on screen right now. Mom, go ahead and pick your second question for the evening.
Let's talk about secrets and truths.
How did I know? Malik keeps stealing glimpses into his mother's past, her notes, visions, and study guides. How do half truths and hidden histories impact his decisions and emotional stability?
Yeah, this probably ain't the best question for a girl to be answering today. Okay, let's dig in. Let's just say half truths and hidden histories definitely impact, and not always in a positive way. It can cause more damage than good, it can cause more pain than joy, and in some cases be detrimental to a person's total identity of self. In this particular case, he's stealing because, well, he knows he has a history he knows nothing about. He also knows that with the little bit of information he does have and the lack of knowledge about his history, he's just on a quest for knowledge at this point. Not just about his magic, but about his mother, because nobody in the real world, unmagical, could explain to him what the hell happened when he was 7. That's number one. No one would listen to him in terms of, this is what happened, this is what I saw. Something ain't right because there's only 3 dead bodies when there was 5 in the room. Nobody listened to him. Everybody thought he was crazy. He realizes he's not. And then because he does not have insight and was never trained on, baby, you got this, this is how you deal with it, or this is how you keep it from folks who don't understand or don't have it. He's just been in hiding with his abilities. Now, and all of that is why he is, number one, untrusting. That's the biggest impact on his decision making. He's not trust anybody, because nobody out of all those people in his neighborhood he considered family, nobody trusts him, and nor did they want to be around him when his mother died. That hurts a kid. I don't care what age you is. You could be 5, 15, 25, 35. When you grow up inherently knowing somebody and then something happens and they have totally cut you off, that's a pain. That's painful. So that shapes his inability to trust, which shapes his decisions to, I'm not going to rely on anybody to get this information. I'm going to do it my daggone self. This is why he's stealing. This is why every opportunity he glimpses into his mother's past, he's pulling for more and more information, because he feels like the more information I get, the better understanding I will get. Now, in terms of his emotional stability, well, we're talking about a teenager. How emotionally stable is a teenager? To be real, we're going to be unstable, and he has a lifetime of history being revealed to him by him having to pull it out from everywhere but the people he's supposed to be able to trust. Yeah, emotionally, he's a wreck, and he's trying not to show it. He's also dealing with puberty issues of having feelings for a female that he can express, but not really. So he's on a roller coaster right now. And it's a required one, only because his visions are the only thing that's going to give him a glimpse of his past. And the study guide, excuse me, was just a tool to help put some of those pieces together. So yeah, he is unstable, but he is slowly getting it together. He is slowly grasping. I think by the end of this book, because he's still in the beginning phases. I feel like with each little bit of information, he gets upset, then he gets some information and makes him go, okay, now I got to figure this out. So he's it's in a whirlwind, because you go one way and then you feel like you get tossed back. He's back and forth, but because he's getting so much information, even though it's in bits and pieces. And I think anytime it's like getting little pieces of a puzzle and you don't have the whole puzzle in front of you, it's frustrating. It is very frustrating. You get a 100-piece puzzle and you see 75 pieces in front of you. You don't know which way to go. So that's where he is right now. That's why he's making some of the decisions he's making. That's a very real reason why he is not trusting anybody, because at this point he's had a good 10 years to experience in not being able to trust. And every time he gets close to someone, they're taken away. So that's a whole nother level of insecurity. And I really feel like that's one of the reasons he didn't feel like embracing Mama Aya, is because, hey, if I get close to you, you might, get pulled away from me, just like Alexis did, just like Tay did. He had to go steal Tay back. So everything, he feels like, if I don't go snatch it for myself, I won't have it. And it's like, why get close to another person at this point, only to be disappointed and have them ripped away from me? He's not willing to take that risk right now. He wants to know more about himself and make a decision about himself before he becomes vulnerable to any one person. That's the true reason why he's not fully opened up to Alexis at this point. And with that, I yield.
Yes. Cam was just
Did you? Okay.
Really quickly, yes to all those things. Mom, I know you probably didn't mean it this way, but when you referred to Alexis as a female, it can sound dismissive since it just reduces her to biology. And there are words for female human beings. So woman, girl. Again, I know you don't mean it this way, but specifically in our community, it can come across in a dehumanizing tone. So just want to make you aware of that.
Oh, that was not that. And I said that not to dehumanize, but to identify that he is in a culture where everything is up in air. And like his roommate said, I like what I like. So whether it be male, female, gender neutral, he's not, and I'm not being biased, but I'm saying just in terms of the DNA. Yeah. Just, and I apologize if that was how that came out, but that was the word in the moment. But yeah, so
absolutely, context definitely matters. I just wanted to make you aware of that, just moving forward.
Yeah, woman versus man, because that term is even neutral at this point, because sometimes the women we think of women ain't the women. So I just to know that he's struggling not just in the familiar relationships and in the emotional hormonal relationships, he's having trust issues all across the board.
I agree. He's definitely going through some things here. And it's so interesting that you would pick this question, given what we know about our personal lives. Lord help today.
Yes, you got community hurt. Like my coworker said, when she didn't get acknowledged after all the stuff she had done, she was like, work hurt. He's had community hurt, family hurt, friend hurt. He just been hurt all around. So at the end of the day, I ain't trusting nobody. He got institutionalized hurt the institution that was set up to protect him as a kid, and all of that. He's got all of those pains in there. So, I got hurt from the people I love, because who is it? The woman that bore me didn't trust me enough to teach me nothing. Say I got a grandmama. Nothing. Brother just hurt.
Not nothing.
Not nothing.
And what
just out here in the world alone.
What a very sad way to go about life, feeling so alone and feeling like nothing good can come from you. As a matter of fact, Malik said that very thing in the end of the first chapter, I believe, that he withholds his magic for that very reason, because boys like him aren't meant to have power like that. Ain't nothing coming from it. At least that's what he believed about himself. And I wonder how many people believe similar things about themselves and the power that they hold within. Wow. that self-identity is a hell of a drug. And you're right, Mom. Not having a clear sense of who you are can affect so much. So yeah, people need to stop lying to their kids and quit keeping secrets from their kids.
Hello.
Oh goodness.
Do you know how much history is lost because, and they talked about that. Somebody talked about that. I can't remember who it was, but because our history as a people had been carried down and passed down through stories. A lot of times, some people, did quilting and all this other stuff, but our stuff got passed down through stories because our culture was not allowed to read and write when we were slaves. And when we got to the point we were, even that was kind of selected in terms of who kept that information when the last person had it passes on. So you have a lot of stuff lost in translation, and this is how you lose your history. This is how you lose your people's history. But then when you mark that with the fact that you have children who don't know that you have taken away from family and at early ages or out of wedlock or whatever the case may be, who never truly know who they came from. Now you have a whole nother lineage of a family being created out here in this world that don't know their history. So they don't know what to grow and learn from because they don't know those people. They don't.
You're absolutely right, Mom. You're absolutely right. And well, now, I mean, it makes, just as in us tackling the usage of female just now, it's cultural baggage. I don't know if it's not specific to us, but the usage of it in the context that you gave just now has typically been used to stereotype and objectify women. And it may have even entered your consciousness without you even realizing it, because things are passed down or passed around in the way that you're describing. So again, having that knowledge and having an understanding of it's powerful. It's powerful. And that's an understatement.
Yeah. And I'm sad for those women who choose to use children as pawns in the game of relationships. Because in your quest to make the man, that child's father, in your quest to get back at him because you're angry, you are wiping away that child's opportunity to learn who he or she truly is by understanding where they come from. You don't know the DNA that's in that baby's blood when you do that, when you keep them from their child. You don't know what biological markers that could be affecting their learning ability, their health, their all of those things, their ability to learn. All of that is in your data, honey. It's in the DNA. And if anybody watching and listening to this on YouTube or wherever, I need y'all women with these babies that by these men you ain't married to, stop holding those babies hostage from their heritage. It is unfair. It ain't right. And it may not be pleasant, but they still need to know what, if it's a bad one, they need to know what pitfalls not to fall into. And if it's a good one, they need to know what inheritance they got coming. So stop playing with these babies' heritage. And with that, I yield.
Thank you for that, Mother. I am not a parent at all outside of my four-legged child, but I do stand very strongly with the sentiment that it's not right and it is unfair for any parent to use their child in the way you're describing. I also, though, can look at this with a little bit of nuance and say that if a parent has decided to keep their child from another grown adult, I hope it is for a reason of safety or concern for that child's well-being. And only that reason is why I could see it being an acceptable reason. Now,
those should be the only reasons
it
for the
should be
safety and welfare of that child. Because just because he mean-spirited don't mean they mean to that child. But you'll never know if you don't give that child an opportunity to learn who that non-custodial parent is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is my hope for the parents of the world, that if you are doing something, that your intention, because we talked about intention earlier, it matters how you use your magic. It matters how you use your autonomy of your child. It matters why you are choosing to do what you're doing in the first place. And that's what makes it ethical or not. Good stuff, Mom. Good stuff. Glenna. I see your elbow. Okay. That's fine. I will pick my last question of the night. What we got left? Vengeance and justice or foreshadowing and mystery? I'm gonna do vengeance and justice. Okay. Alexis uses Bane magic to punish Katya Washington's killers. Do you think her actions are justified or do they cross a dangerous line? Ooh, this girl. This woman. One of the heaviest moral questions in these chapters. I mean, it really forces us to wrestle with justice versus corruption. So, like, okay. So, on one hand, Alexis is fueled by grief and righteous anger, right? She was really, really gunning for Katya Washington, and her death feels like a failure of the system because she was trying to warn the faculty and they ignored her, and then the authorities didn't react. So she understandably took justice into her own hands. And from that view, her actions feel like protection for the community when institutions won't. But on the other hand, she's using Bane magic to do it, which the story frames as dangerous and corrupting. So, by summoning a fire dragon and condemning souls to the eternal torment, she becomes judge, jury, and executioner. I mean, that just is what it is. And the danger in that is not only what she's doing to these souls, but what it might be doing to her. And choices like this just pull her closer into the very darkness that she says she's fighting against. So to me, much like I said earlier, it raises the question, are you truly avenging Katya? Or are you losing yourself to the same cycle of violence the Bakors embody? I see a hand raised. Pam.
I would just like to know how many types of Bane magic there are, because she made the statement it was a type of Bane magic.
Oh, good point. Very good point.
Of how many dangers are there really with this form of magic?
Yes. How many observations? Yes.
I, I- this book has raised the most questions I have ever had when reading a book, aside from when we read The Heiress,
Mm.
because Ruby McTavish had my mind spinning that entire book.
Child, child, the questions. The question is,
I just feel like every chapter I got another question. But in that moment when he was like, "What was that?" and she stated what it was, and then she said it's a type of Bane magic. I was like,
a type.
yeah. I was like, whatever do you mean by that? So I would really love to know. And I aside from knowing how many types there are, I'm wondering if it's common knowledge that there are multiple types. Because if it's not common knowledge, then when practicing Bane magic, how do you learn how many types there are? Who's instructing you?
I see we have a hand raised, mother.
Well, when she said that, it didn't remind me of different forms of magic. I sensed it more on the level of magic being like worship. You know, when you go to worship, there's different kinds of worship, but there are some elements that happen in all worship. So in generally in all worship, there's some music involved, there's some giving involved, there's some teaching and or preaching involved. So to me, when she said that it's a type of, in my mind, it was like it's just one of the things you do in Bane magic. Does that make sense? It's like
Well,
one of the things you do in worship.
well, if we use in that same vein Christianity,
Mhm.
there's types of Christianity, but
And
everybody's still
true.
Christian.
That's why I didn't say denominational, that thing. That's why I said when we talk about
Or you
worship,
talk about church. I mean, because these are all forms of worship. There's Catholicism is, the Catholic religion. Within Christianity, there's non-denominational, there's Baptist, there's Seventh Day Adventist, there's
right.
all of these other different types of Christianity, but everybody's still a Christian. So when she said it's a type of
Of
Bane
bang
magic,
magic. That was the image I got. And that's why you say I see what you're saying in terms of how many types are there. I don't think she really knows at this point. I feel like she just understood that, hey, this is some dark magic. It may not, it's not. I didn't feel like she was all knowing of the types of dark magic, but that she knew what she was doing was some kind of dark magic. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Okay, so wait a minute. It's so funny that y'all would bring this up, and y'all really cooking with grease tonight. I just recently went to a Greek festival here in town, and I learned that the Hellenic Orthodox Greek um, Christian faith practice involves iconography, right? So what's interesting to me is that other factions of Christianity, much like Catholicism or Baptist or even Full Gospel Baptist, would consider iconography as you are worshiping the pictures or the icons that you're using, and they would deem that form of worship as wrong. And so it makes me wonder, when we're talking about Bane magic in this book, is it just an umbrella of different practices and different um, ways of getting at the same goal, in the way that iconography falls under worship or liturgy? or anything that resembles giving honor in this way. And there's just different factions or different groups of people who demonize that specific manifestation of it.
That's what I'm thinking, and I think that way because if you look at Bane magic as, dark magic, look at the magic that they're using that's not dark magic. You have healers, you have seers, you have the protectors of the knowledge. You have all of these different groups of people who are practicing the same type of magic, but in different fonts. So when she said it's a type of Bane magic, I'm thinking, okay, well, if there's types of regular magic and we got types of Bane magic, how many different types, like how many different fonts do we use Bane magic in?
Yeah, I think the author is really trying to get us to see like there is no black and white here when it comes to what people are ready to demonize or call evil or dark or anything of that nature. Like there's a lot of gray, especially when you're talking about an umbrella of theology or school of thought, however we want to package this.
It
And
makes me wonder, like from Kingdom of the Wicked, as above, so below. So is there balance in this, literacy universe as it was in that literacy universe where we have all of these different fonts of regular magic and they are the same yet different as far as Bane magic is concerned. Healers in Bane magic, we got seers in Bane magic, like on as the good, so the bad.
I like this. Yes, I think you on to something, ma'am.
I got questions, bro.
I think this is why the author had Dr. Akila specifically ask the class and have this debate about whether or not it's ethical. And I really enjoy watching that debate play out on my pages. I was like, ooh, ooh. All right. This is a class I would love to sit in. And with that, I yield. Glenna, are you ready for your last and only question of the evening?
Yeah, I should be good. What's the last question?
Last question is foreshadowing and mystery. The urgent message from Tay closes this section on a cliffhanger. Based on what's happened so far, what do you predict Malik will find when he returns to Mama Aya's house?
Okay. Hell for the heavy question at the end. Honestly, it's either one of two things. It is either they're being attacked by the people who are doing the kidnappings, or somebody took Celine, the fairy girlfriend of Tay. So 3 options. Either the house is getting attacked, somebody's been kidnapped, or his mom just walked through the door.
And she was too stunned.
His mom.
Because mom
said
Mama's
his mom.
That's my
Listen, too stunned to speak. But yes, mother is still alive. So that is a possibility for sure.
Yeah. It's a possibility that she could definitely be there. So there's nothing that says that the reason he's getting texted is because he needs to come home because she just walked through the door. I mean, I'm not saying it's a high likelihood. I'm guessing more likely attack or kidnapping of somebody from the household. But it's still a possibility.
Ooh. I'm flabbergasted. Like, I didn't even think of those. Okay. I think, and this is, just me spitballing here. Because Cam mentioned something last week about Mama Aya's passing on of her magic that she's living off of great grandmama Nim magic. And so I wonder if something health related is going to happen to Mama Aya that will cause her to have to, I guess, give over her life force to Malik. That's one thing I was thinking. Also, I wonder if there's some immediate danger to Tay. Now that you've put the bug in my ear that Tay could possibly be a seer, I wonder if the Bakors know that. And if they coming back to the house to kidnap Tay. Even though he ain't got no magical ability, if he is possessing seer abilities and could be part of the divine Elam, it would stand to benefit the Bakors to go on over to Mama Aya house and snatch him up. Or yeah. Yeah, Mama coming back. That's a good one, Glenn. I didn't even think about that.
It's just a possibility. We don't really know. It's just kind of, I mean, it was, what if, I mean, I know we kind of separated the chapters out by equally separating them out, but that couldn't have been a better stop point than we could have found. But yeah, I mean, I was thinking, you know, my immediate thought last night when I was finishing reading it at midnight was that somebody was hurt. But now on contemplation through my day, you know, it could be, you know, you brought up a good point with Mama Aya's power. What if she's the one kidnapped because she has a lot of power to give? There is a myriad of possibilities here. So it's hard to predict because there's any number of different ways the author could have taken this. And so I'm quite fascinated to find out what happens next. Yes.
My challenge is I can't see nobody snatching Mama Aya, even though we know she's got some power because she ancient. Because if that would have been the case, why are they only snatching kids? They could have been snatched up some magical folk by now. You know what I mean? To gain power. But the fact that she's got to go to this meeting with the Khoisan tribe and she's, you know, like Samity said, because Malik said, I want to go. And Samity's like, you might as well take him. He your grandchild. They're going to meet him anyway. He going to get to meet them all. So, because, you know, she was apparently one of the leaders in the rebellion against the Bokurs along with the Khoisan tribe. So it's like, come on, you let him in there. You might as well go and get it over with. And
you jumped ahead.
I'm at 22.
We stopped at 21.
21.
Oh, my bad. I stopped at 22.
Glenna, are you yielding the floor on this? Okay, thank you. Okay, ladies. Any lingering questions, predictions, anything you want to share before I give out my closing remarks?
I want to know who Tay's people are.
Same.
Tay's people?
Mm-hmm.
They just ordinary people.
We don't know that.
We don't know that, actually.
Because why is he so comfortable around magical beings?
All we know of Tay is that he ended up in the same
foster kid.
Well, he don't have. Well, he's past 7 and he ain't showing no magical powers.
But Malik was an anomaly. It's not normal for kids. They said it earlier when he first got to the university. Mm-hmm. And they was like, when did your powers manifest? He said at 7. They was like, oh, that's quite early for a male child to exhibit that kind of power. They specified by saying a male child to exhibit that kind of power at that age. That was really early.
Ooh. So that being the case, and I agree with you, that was said, keeping in mind that they also have schools for children with magical abilities, meaning even though it may have been young for a 7-year-old, because I mean, you also have put in place schools for school age kids with
Mhm.
magical powers. So we know they're getting them before they hit teenage years. And Tay is well into his 15 and don't have any, but he's still real comfortable. And it could be because of the trauma bond between him and Malik
Well, if
being
he's
in the
a
orphanage.
seer, he won't have magical abilities.
He won't have magical abilities, but that also will make an understanding as to why he does not have any fear in terms of being around magical people, and why he can recognize that would make sense in terms of why he's able to recognize when, okay, some they're different. Like he noticed Mama and them eyeing them being ancient and the fairy being a fairy and all of that. But yeah, I feel like, and I guess because there's no criteria for the birth of a seer in terms of
Exactly.
what this story has given us, we have no criteria
Exactly.
for
I want to know
that.
who his parents are.
Right. So
And that's not
that
something he would know because he's a foster kid.
right.
Now,
And
as
so that
far as the age, the 7-year-old thing, they said that was early for a male child. They said
right.
nothing about female children.
I
So as
understand that.
far that having the school age, kids going to school, it could be a majority girls' school. We don't know that. We don't know, but
Hmm.
they did specify that Malik, a 7-year-old male child, was an anomaly. But I'm also wondering if that's because he comes from a line of ancient magic.
That's why I said I think his dad had the same magic ability as his mom, if not more. You don't know what lineage of magic his father came from. But I
Right. But
feel like it's somebody on that campus.
I also think it's somebody on the campus. And if not somebody actively on the campus, then whoever the third member of the Divine Elin is. I also think that part of his ancientness
Hmm.
is because of Mama Aya, because she almost 200 something years old and she's carrying the life force and the magic of two other powerful people.
Yeah.
Because she got
Cause
her mama and her grandmama
right.
all passed into her by her mama upon her death. So
Right.
he's got that plus his mother. And we now know that she was practicing Bane magic prior to his birth. So he's probably a collection of both. And that's why he's so powerful. And this all stuff that's spinning through my head when they said you should have stopped him. You knew he wasn't ready. And when they said, well, he's just a regular conjurer like everybody else. No, he's not. And you know it. Well, how would he know it?
Well, he wouldn't know it, but the professors
I'm
would.
saying, how would the professors know it? What do you know that we don't?
That's why I said that Chancellor is a little more. He's closer than
He's
is
closer
is
than
letting
he
on
would
right now.
like to be. He's closer
Yeah.
than he would like to be, but there's just so many possibilities swirling around because the more I think about it, the more I think about what his mama was into and whether or not his dad was a practicer, was a conjurer of the good magic or not. We are all of the knowledge that his mother was practicing Bane magic before he was born.
Exactly, which is why the Chancellor knows not only does he have this ancient magic in him, he has whatever the Bane magic in him as well. And I guess the question is, his concern may be which direction he chooses to go with his, because he knows his mama went the wrong way.
I'm noticing like when they're talking about all of the stuff they doing in the defense classes and everything like that, he's
Mm-hmm.
describing the colors
Mm-hmm.
of the magic.
Yeah, I think that has relevance too.
Nobody besides Malik has conjured anything green. I've heard a lot of blue. I've heard a lot of yellow. I've heard golden. I've heard purple. Nobody has done anything green besides Malik at the dorm thing, at the dorm fight when he was really, really angry. Because even Alexis in her conjuring of the Bane magic, hers wasn't green.
You're
So
right.
I'm really wondering if his body, whether or not he knows it, is also harboring some form of Bane magic.
I think it is.
As well as the regular magic that the rest of his
Right.
family can conjure.
And that may be the color difference in him is because of that. Because I feel like he does have Bane magic in him.
I think he got it, which is why he was looking at Alexis like, "What is that? And why are you doing that?"
Right. That's why
But
I think
he didn't shy away from it. Like, of course, he didn't know what it was, but he was just upset that she was using it. He wasn't scared of it. It was kind of like a second nature. He didn't back away from it. Nothing.
Right. That's why I said I really feel like because of that connection,
I think he
like
got
you
both.
say, yeah, he has both. So I'm interested to see how. Well, clearly we know they got a meeting with the Kwanzaa tribe because I let that out the bag because I read another chapter.
Y'all are on fire tonight with these predictions. Like,
oh
my God. When I say my flabbers are gassy, I'm
okay, flabbergasted. I'm curious to see what happens with this meeting. I'm also curious to see if we will get some insight as to Tay to and I don't think we will right now because like we said there is a second book, but I am curious to find out if we will get any more insight over Malik's father because that may also be key to why his mom chose to do Bane magic. It may be we know that's the reason her and Mama Aya fell out, but we don't know, is it because she was trying to get closer to this man, this baby's daddy, or what, or or just being overwhelmed by this other type of supernatural power. I'm curious if that is going to come up in the next section. I also I'm wondering if his father will be revealed, and if so, if the connection with his mom will in give us some insight into why, like you say, his colors are different. Because I did notice, Cam, as you did, that things are relative with a color when they talk about the different magic that's going on.
And he's done mostly blue.
Yeah,
but
he's been blue
like
up
on
until
the
that.
cover, it's been mostly blue. But this one time where he was super angry,
it was green.
It was green. And nobody has done green.
And that could have been him getting ready to pull out some of that Bane that's down in the Dana. I told y'all, girl, the stuff in the Dana ain't
and he
no
just
joke.
Don't know it's there.
You need to let these children know who they Dana is carrying. Who where they get that Dana from? So
Lord help today. Lord help today. I want to give Glenna a chance. Do you have any predictions or lingering questions? Oh, you're on mute.
No, not really.
Okay. I'm sorry. I know you've been running around like a chicken with your head cut off this evening, but
I'm honestly exhausted. We've been down a technician and a half today.
Okay.
So I do apologize for not being as participatory as normal, but you guys have kind of hit everything that I was kind of thinking and considering. So I really don't have anything to add.
Okay. Well, thank you, Glenna, for being here with us in spirit anyway. Anything else, ladies? Okay, well, we getting ready for week 3, and I too hope we get a lot of those questions answered. So week 3, chapters 22 through 31. Let's not read ahead.
Thank you for the heads up.
Because some folk like to read ahead around here. All right.
I thought we was doing 11, 11, 11, 11. That's the only reason I did. Okay, my bad. So that's okay. 22 to 31. I got you.
Yes. All right, y'all. So
I'll keep my notes to that.
Closing remarks. Week 2, We covered chapters 11 through 21. Malik's been diving deeper into his magic, his morality, and his own identity. He's been learning the stakes of power and facing dangerous truths about his mama and the Bakors, and navigating complicated relationships with Alexis and with Tay and his mentors. We've seen that every choice comes with a price. And the urgent message from Tay at the very end reminds us that even our safe spaces aren't guaranteed. Tomorrow's not promised. These chapters leave Malik and us on the edge, asking, okay, so who can he trust? And what is he willing to risk to protect the people he loves and uncover the truth? Well, I, for one, am ready for week 3. I don't know about you. And so we'll be back here next week on the family plot to discuss week 3 of Blood at the Root, chapters 22 through 31. See y'all next week. Bye.
It's the family plot. Come and see what we got. If you love mystery and fantasy, then this is the spot. It's the family plot. Come and see what we got. Follow on Instagram and YouTube and even TikTok. And